A darkness bled across the land, and a world-devouring serpent carved chasms in search of something. Juno and Eyvind, powerful spellweavers who claim they can turn back the darkness, continued on to the Valka libraries, where a terrible confrontation left Manahar in ruin. The spellweavers now have no choice but to push into the darkness itself, protected only by a spell of light and a reluctant crew of mercenaries. Will they be able to drive away the darkness before all of Arborang and humanity is swallowed up? And at what cost? One way or another, the saga comes to a close.
I'm more worried about a bulwark I can see than one I can. Imagine little Aled, hunting you through the darkness, trying to rip your throat out. Now imagine some ass accuses you of having feelings about it.
Fighting through a forest is irksome at best of times, nearly intolerable in these conditions. You break through miles of razor-edged both, gasping to catch your breath in the open air. On the hill ahead rises Richhorn. Fine.
You see him? Folker says. Bulwark stands motionless far up the hill, clearing, watching the caravan. Now I know how it feels for all these poor bastards who saw us coming. Hard to know what he thinking at this point, says Ollie. Expecting us to do what he'd do. Or the opposite. Or expecting that we'd expect him to.
Spar pipes up.
Know what I do? Cook some food, sleep. Bet he won't see that coming.
Ollie scoffs. You're just tired of walking, old man. Folker blinks.
Spar might be right. We just make it look suspicious, enough to throw him off. And everyone rests before Richborn.
Richhorn.
No lookout?
No lookout, you ask, as they prepare the campfire. Folker shakes her head. That's what makes it look like a trick. Fine. Do whatever you like. I won't stop you. Settle in with the rest of the ravens and sleep. I trust Folker. Let's go. You put your trust in Folker's hands and lay on the hard ground. Time passes slowly. Soft crunching catches your attention. You swear under your breath, grabbing for your axe, but your hand finds empty air. In a panic, you jump to your feet and scan the ground. No axe. The crunching gets louder, turns into thumping. Tree branches abandon cradled bundles of snow. Like a blood moon, Bellover suddenly storms out of the darkness in gleaming red armor. There is your missing axe jutting from a bleeding bundle in his arms. The ground shakes from his roar. That's a dream. Yeah, that's a dream.
Poor sleep, Ivor?
Alfred asks. She crouches over the fire, a strange shade fluttering in the firelight. The campsite is still, aside from the gentle crackle of fire.
just dreams. Some people think dreams are omen. Those people are idiots. But they can certainly be a fine distraction from our troubles.
Not sort of my distraction.
I'm sorry if I dredged up old memories back at the Godstone, so to speak. There's more to the story. Would you like to tell me? Would you like to tell me you?
What? Okay.
I think I should.
It might be better if I don't. I think I should.
You've heard one half already. How the Valka came from forth during the Second Great War with fire and fury to push the sculptors to extinction.
She gestures theoretically. I don't know.
So I've heard. Perception paints themselves the heroes. Or what? Perception paint themselves the heroes. What the Valka really did was make their foes a promise. Abandon the war and they'd share secret knowledge. The Valka taught them to write. They taught the stone singers to weave. And for the first time, the sculptors learned how to make more sculptors to thrive. They kept their end of the bargain and remained hidden. At least until recently.
How did you know this?
They have their own history and carvings. I've read it on great black stones in the dark home. As a trusted guest. What I don't understand is why you trust these Valka.
You stare into the fire and it shows you old shapes. When you speak. When you speak, it's almost it's almost as if to yourself. When I killed Therese, when I returned to my kind with her head, Ingvar, they chanted. None had slain a Sundar before. They wanted to make me the king of Kendra. I couldn't. They haunted me. Belivar and Therese. And that damn child. Every night. Like tonight. Maybe it sounds like nothing to have bad dreams, but it drops you raw. It takes in your bones. So I left the Val. I found a small town of men when nobody knew who I was. Nobody called me Ingvar. Ivar never had dreams like that in Skoker.
So, that's why you agreed to come with Juno and Eyvind?
The truth is, Juno didn't ask me to join them. I asked her. The flames continue to dance. It's whatever. On the bridge in Einatov, I stood before Belova. I could have moved, but I just held up my shield and waited for the end.
Ivar?
The name snaps you out of your trace. You stand and stretch your legs. Your axe is where you left it, and the ravens are beginning to stir in their tents. It's nothing. So, I'm back. We have to talk to Eric and Berzie. Eric, what's up? Eric, the ranger you met at Strand, is awake. He's watching the distance from the edge of the light, talking quietly with his friend Valgard. Worried about the warped. We'd be crazy not to be. I'm Eric, steward of Strand. Or what was left of it. You've met Valgard? Ivor the Armless. He barks a laugh, and his tight gaze drifts on. Ever vigilant. You can tell he's listening. So, how did you become the steward of Strand? Now, there's a bit of story. While I was a member of the governor's guard, Valgard and I spotted a known thief tailing a boy and some Val. We learned they were being hunted by a powerful gang of slavers. They were after something that would have helped them see Strand. Always someone trying to kill the governor. There is. Keeping the guy alive was full-time work. Still, we beat them. Though not without cost. Stuart Oliver died in battle. And you were named his successor. Unfortunately. That's what you get from being so proactive. You can tell he's listening. What happened to Strand before the darkness came? Just about every calamity you could imagine. Strand always had trouble with thieves, slavers, and murderers on both sides of the law. But other than a close call with the Skulfings clan, I like to think we were starting to turn the tide. I take it the dredge arrived after that. Pretty much. Farmers poured into the city from Furtville and even Karlshus, seeking shelter behind our walls. Food and space got tight. Back then we could still fish Dangle's Bay. What do you mean? The darkness appeared on the horizon, and some of the fish we caught were wrong. Warped, mishapen. Some gained a venomous bite. We destroyed anything twisted, but people got sick anyway. Then the darkness grew closer, and the dredge fled south. Most left for Aberrang. And you remained? Both Vargard and I did. Too many foes couldn't go, either too scattered, ill, or unwilling to leave kin. We stayed behind to get as many out as we could. He sighs from his nostrils, his gaze becoming distant. Too many died anyway. We'd have joined them if it wasn't for Alfred. You can tell he's listening. How did you end up the only survivors? How did you end up the only survivors? They don't call him the Iron Turtle for nothing. Last one standing before Alfred came. The rest of the town was killed by Dredge. We held the Great Hall. Then the governor went and died of a heart attack. Damn him! When the Warped showed up. It was a damn shame we lost so many good fighters, but I won't miss those tournaments. What do you mean? The tournaments in Strand were a brilliant plan to reduce street violence and turf wars. I take it from the enthusiastic tone that they didn't work. They started the fights back when I was a watchman, but I never noticed much of an impact. Something always went wrong at all those things. Still, we did use them for a ruse or two. Some of the tournament's fighters helped defend Strand in their death throws. I have no idea what this means. Good men and women. In fact, one of the best was called the Stoic Mother. You can tell he's listening. Be well, you two. Stay vigilant. Likewise, Ivor. That explains a lot. Where the hell did they come from? Suddenly. Bursey. Hi, Bursey. Bursey tosses in his sleep until he finally huffs and gives up. He sees you, also awake, and comes to sit nearby. Trouble? I don't know how these damned ravens do it. I know how these damned ravens do it. I can't just pass out at a moment's notice. Are you not one of the ravens? I can see how you might get that impression. I joined Bulwark at Borisgard because of the Valka. Asked me to. And when that went wrong, I got roped into this like everyone else. Bursey was a frown and leans on his axe handle. Juno and Event asked you personally? Let's not turn this into something bigger than it is. Alfrun had something interesting to say about that. Oh, I don't work for money. The Menders pay well. I do work for money. The Menders pay well. I've got some history with them. That's it. Alfred had something interesting to say about that. Alfred had something interesting to say about that. She said you tried to kill her when she was training to be a mender. God, did I? I've tried to kill so many menders. Oh, that came out wrong. The Valka have a pretty rigorous final test for new candidates. It involves some stabbing and some shouting, you know, to make sure the menders can do what they need to do under stress and pain. So they get some scary looking Val, me, to play the kidnapping brigand and rough him up. They don't all make it back. Still, feel bad for one poor kid. Can't remember his name, some backwoods farm boy. Not too bright. I thought for sure he had no chance. He almost made it. Almost. But anyway, Alfred was one of those kids, I guess. I've been doing this longer than I thought. Hope she doesn't hold a grudge. Percy wears a frown and leans on his axe handle. So, you work for yourself? Never could get into that. Our bones and hair stuff, like the rest of you. Why should I care about the dredge or dying in battle? I'd rather have the means to do what I want, live comfortably, eat well. Turns out there's a lot of men out there thrilled to hire Val for some blood work, so I thought I'd do that for a little while. Now, it's a lifetime later, and I never got rich from it. Spent my whole life chasing work while others profited. One time I traveled with a prince and his tax collector. I guess he is referring to Ludin. And what was the other Val's name? Wait a second. Ludin and Jesus. One of the Vals we have in the other group. The old one that just came in the battle where we defeated the Sunder. I've forgotten his name just now. Ubin. It's Ubin. He's referring to Ludin and Ubin, I guess. Because Ubin is the tax collector and the prince is Ludin. Thought that was going to be my big payday. People just handed their money over, piled it right into a huge cart because we told them they had to. Practically robbery. Eventually, the cart fell over a cliff and exploded into a shower of gold coins, never to be seen again. Oh, I remember that. That is in the first game. That is in the first game. Now, that was one decision. Do you try to save the cart, or just let it slip? And I guess no matter what you do, you have to let it slip, I believe. Yeah. I've never shed a tear over killing a man, but that... I cried like a lost baby bird. Because of the cart. Because of the cart of money. It happened pretty damn close to this very spot, now that I think about it. can't leave this darkness, though. It's probably all twisted up and dark as dark's turds. Now, anyway. Maybe there's a moral there, but I'm not digging for it. Percy wears a frown and leans on his axe handle. What do you think about this job? If you mean the Valka, you'd be a fool to trust them. I've done some questionable stuff on their behalf, let me tell you. And if you mean saving the world, I couldn't care less. What has the world ever done for me? These days I'm just putting one foot in front of the other. There's still the tiniest sparkle of hope that I might profit from this somehow. Pretty bleak way to live. Nothing left to lose, nothing but sleep anyway. Percy wears a frown and leans on his axe handle. Sit quietly until the others wake up. Okay. You keep the rest of your thoughts to yourself. Wait, I don't need to say this name. You keep the rest of your thoughts to yourself. It'd be an awkward silence if you weren't both wrong. Looks like it's time to get going. You know, Ivan. You can tell he's debating whether to get something off his chest. Why not work for the Walker? One of the jobs they paid me to do was to find you. You'd gone into hiding and they wanted to know where. Do I care asking why? Truth is, I don't know why. I don't ask questions. But I never found you. I have a feeling if I had, things would have ended up differently between us. So I'm glad I never sniffed around any small towns like Saga, for example. Percy leaves with a pat on the shoulder. And you realize you'd never mentioned Saga to him. Wait a second. What does that mean? Wait a second, what does that mean? Why did he know? How? Did the witch talk to him? Did the witch talk to him? Did he listen to the witch? Why does he know about Saga suddenly? It's not a good sign, actually, but okay.
I wanna be with you.